Peony in Love, a novel by Lisa C. Description from Wikipedia. The three wives of Wu Ran in the novel, Chen Tong, Peony, Tan Zhe, and Qian Yi were, in fact, the real women who wrote the Three Wives commentary. The opera presents the love of Du Linyang for a young man, Lu Mengmei, whom she meets in a dream. This will be an honest review, containing my thoughts on the low points and high points of the novel. Spoilers ahead. It seems a bit meta to write a review about Peony in Love, as the events of this book surround a narrator who is obsessively recording her thoughts on an opera. While reading this book, I did not realize that the opera discussed, the Peony Pavilion, was a real opera, or that the women who write about the opera were real women. Though based on true events, this novel is the furthest thing from reality, and not just due to the ghost story aspect of it. At times, it was hard to take the main character seriously, as Peony was convinced that her thoughts on the opera must be recorded, ignoring food until she starved, pushing others to finish her work from beyond the grave, and convincing her husband to publish her writings that were her great project. Though as older, more mature women were introduced to the book, I came to further appreciate the skill of the author in writing Peony's perspective. Peony is the ghost of a teenager, and she died feeling certain of two things. Wu Ran is a perfect man, and love can be understood through reading The Peony Pavilion. Yet I realize now that she is true to the character of a young girl, whose maturity stopped when she was a teenager, as the world changes around her. Of course, she is still obsessed with the same opera she loved as a girl. She never had the chance to experience more when she was alive. In this way, she is very well written. During the first third of the novel, Peony starves to death. She had not intended to starve or die, but she became so fixated on the opera that she lost interest in food. It is very difficult to read, especially at the point it becomes clear that there is no hope of saving her, even when emotionally she has come out of her misery as she learns the boy she loves, Wu Ran, is her fiancé. For a moment, it seemed like this knowledge would save her and allow her a happy ending. Yet still, she loses everything. As difficult as it is to read about a teenager starving to death, the remainder of the novel makes getting through the first third of this book worth it. One of the most powerful lines in the book occurs during the lowest moment. When Peony's mother is desperate to save her, she takes the doctor's advice to burn her books to make her angry, in the hope that destroying them will make Peony so mad that she gets out of bed and recovers. Instead, their destruction breaks her. Seeing this and knowing she has broken the girl she was desperate to save, her mother begs, "Please be mad at me." Shortly after this, Peony dies about a third of the way into the book, and the story really picks up, as we are introduced not just into Chinese folklore surrounding death, ghosts, and the afterlife, which is fascinating, but also to a mystery about Peony's family. For many years, only girls were born in her family, and even on her deathbed her father asks her to tell the ancestors to send sons. Once she is dead, Peony learns that her grandmother has only been sending baby girls to the family, as she was hoping that the men would start to see the value of girls in this new generation, allowing women like Peony to shine in her father's eyes. Of all of C's books, this one has the strongest message of feminism in it. While many of her books display the thoughts that were prevalent in society at the time, example, Daughters Whose Names Meant Send a Brother or Hoping for a Brother, this book showcases women who strive for their place in society to be seen as poets and artists striving for their words to find immortality alongside those of men, and poets who find a sisterhood with each other as they travel while writing about the wonders that they see. Peony even learns that her mother was once a poet who traveled, before war made her fear the outside world. In addition to the strong relationship that Peony has with her mother and grandmother, she also finds a sisterhood in the two women who marry her husband after her death, Tan Zhe and Qian Yi. Near the end of the book, it becomes clear that these wives are being brilliantly used to showcase the types of love, and Peony even states that she has learned how to love in other ways by watching them. When she died at 17, Peony only knew romantic love, where the most erotic thing she had experienced was the feeling of a flower being rubbed across her cheek. The second wife, Tan Zhe, represents sexual love, and the third wife, Qian Yi, is devotional love. I was completely blindsided by the role that Qian Yi played in the novel. When she was first introduced as the child of a silkworm farmer, I sensed her character would be returning. Peony decides to do a good deed for the family, and I anticipated she might help the child improve her needlepoint, but instead she persuades the child's parents to bind her feet, though we never learn if this is something that the child wants, so that she can marry into a higher class of family. Then yet again I was shocked, as the higher marriage that Peony has in mind for the 17-year-old girl is Peony's husband, who is now 41. Yet again, we don't know if this is something that Peony wants, or if she would rather be a silkworm farmer like her father. In Peony's view, her husband is perfect, so every girl would be happy with him. Interestingly, near the end of the book, Peony seems to gain perspective, as she says that she realizes this third wife views Wu Ran as just a man, not someone perfect or superior, but just an ordinary man. The ghost girl finally sees the boy who fascinated her during her life and afterlife as a simple human. This isn't a bad thing, as seeing him as an ordinary man allows her to love him in a new, deeper way, no longer just romantically. As Peony says, I saw that deep heart love meant loving someone in spite of and because of his limitations. While on the surface, it is obvious that Lisa C's novels explore the bonds between women, what is truly remarkable about her novels is that these relationships are explored over the course of decades, as her novels span the entire lifetime that these women share, through the ups and downs of their friendships, usually from their first meeting to their last. It is this trait that is truly immersive about C's novels. Readers get not just a window into the lives of her characters, but we get to see their whole lives, which makes them feel real. Every single one of her books is an incredible experience,